Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About the Pots Life, your go-to podcast for all things pots. Whether you're living with pots or supporting someone who is, this is the place for you.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk About the Pots Life.
Today we are going to talk about nutrition and give you some advice and just how it relates to pots, things you can improve on, and how that translates into the Pots Life app and what it looks like when you work with Britt through the app.
Yeah, I don't know when you're listening to this or where you're at, but it is a cold, snowy day
The
here in
worst.
Pittsburgh. And yeah, we're hoping this will give you a little bit of warmth to talk about some
Yeah.
good nutrition.
Something good, something warm, because today it is not.
Yeah, so we want to take a little bit of a closer look at just building balanced diets and what the benefits are specifically for POTS patients. So I'm going to try to not get too sciencey. So Kelsey, pull me out if it gets to that too
This
far.
is her time to shine. She loves this.
So we'll start off by talking about glucose. Glucose is your body's primary source of energy for all of your body cells. It fuels essential functions like your brain, my mouth moving right now, all other muscle movement is fueled by glucose. And glucose is absorbed into your bloodstream from the foods that you eat. And that really impacts then your blood sugar levels. And the goal of the blood sugar levels is to make sure that you have enough energy available whenever you need it. And when it comes to pods, the blood sugar we talked about before is really important to try to avoid any spikes throughout your day to help manage symptoms like fatigue or anxiety or
Even prior to diagnosis, my husband would tell you I bought a finger prick glucose monitor because I could almost feel the swings and the
Yep.
changes and the things like that. And I thought that was just a crazy thing. And then the more people I've talked to, many have done the same because they don't know why they're feeling so up and down. And it's just we go to things that we know, like the glucose monitor and stuff like that. So it does play, obviously, it wasn't diabetes or a problem with my sugar, but it
Right.
was the foods I was intaking probably having the effect on POTS.
Yeah. And when you think of that a lot, you think of just like sugar, right? Like, oh, I had
Mhm.
too much sugar or too much in
Right.
general. But glucose is what's breaking down in all of our food. Like, that's where it's not just a sugar thing, it
Right.
is
It's
all
not like
food.
just eating
Yeah.
Reese's cups. Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so consuming too much glucose or sugar at one time, can cause those spikes in our blood sugar, which could worsen our symptoms, like we said. And
Mhm.
that's why it's important to really focus on, whenever possible, trying to get like a steady release of glucose in the foods that we eat. So, an example of that is whole grains. They're a fantastic choice because they break down slowly, they
Mhm.
provide a sustained energy source. So, those are foods like oats, brown rice, popcorn, quinoa, whole wheat bread. Those are just great examples. Um, the reason why they're steadier is that they're rich in fiber, which takes longer to digest. They have vitamins, minerals, which support your overall health, and they help maintain that stable energy that we're looking throughout the day. So,
Which POTS patients need because you're already struggling from a fatigue standpoint. So if you
mhm.
can start to, this is all part of the recipe. Nutrition is part of the recipe. If you can start to improve these things, incorporate these foods Britt is talking about, then that's just a little piece that you're adding to the recipe to
Mhm.
make yourself feel better. Nothing is this like, okay, if I just eat whole wheat bread or brown rice,
Right.
I'll be great. No, you have to make all the changes.
Absolutely. So, yeah, a great breakfast could start off with a piece of whole grain bread or a bowl of oatmeal. Most days, sure.
Mhm.
But uh, Kelsey and I, we don't believe in elimination. We don't
Right.
believe in forcing you into a corner and saying, please just eat this cabbage soup for the rest of your
We
life.
hear
That's
that
not happening.
often, right? I mean, surprising how often I guess not to you because you're used to hearing these
No,
things.
yeah.
To me, when I get on some of these calls and I say about the nutrition aspect and they're so happy, right, that that part has built in, but then they'll say, well, is she going to take this out or is she going to put this, only have me eat, this 3 times a day? I'm like, no, 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 no. That is not the platform she runs on. That's not what either of us believe. We both come from backgrounds with I have celiac disease, she has Crohn's, so we're well versed in eating the right foods and
Yep.
being open to all foods that they all have a place. That's her thing. Like, she wants you to have a nice, beautiful plate of all different types of foods instead of saying you can only eat this 3 times a day and, don't even think about this. It's not like that.
Yeah, and the point of talking about how this works with your body is to just give you some more tools. So along the way, if you notice that, oh, I'm not feeling well after I eat breakfast, and
Mhm.
it's because you're eating donuts for breakfast.
Right.
Not that donuts are bad, but
Right.
eating them every day really will impact your blood sugar levels.
It's not going to make you feel better.
No. And so having one once in a while, but if you know, oh, I'm going to have a breakfast that's maybe going to mess with my symptoms, to be mindful of that and know that going into it is like, instead of Kelsey was saying, like tricking your finger for for your blood sugar, you're going to know eating that donut is going to give you
It's going
a
to
little
make
bit
you
of a
feel a certain
spike.
type of way.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah. So Kelsey, what's one of your favorite breakfasts that you get to eat?
Oh my. So I've done all the things. Growing up, I was a cereal eater. And then I've tried little gluten-free bars. And what I've really realized lately in the past couple months is more protein. I do better on more protein. If I just eat, even for me, like oatmeal's so good, but if I just eat oatmeal,
Hmm.
I'm Betty White shortly after because I just get hungry. And when I get hungry, I get dizzy. And when I was earlier on in my POTS diagnosis, I would almost get like my fingers would be like buzzy, like I could feel that drop. And so now I am more higher protein. I'm on a high protein kick. So depending on when you're listening to this, maybe I'll be moved on from it. But I'm trying to incorporate things like cottage cheese. I've done dairy free in the past, and I was going through a lot of things to see what made me feel better. I get that question a lot. Do you think going gluten free is the answer? Dairy free, sugar free? I think it depends on who you are. Obviously, for me,
Right.
I'm 100% gluten free because of celiac. That's, a non negotiable. But
Regardless of your POTS.
regardless
That's,
of
yeah.
POTS,
Yeah.
that's its own thing. But, dairy, I'm not heavy in dairy, but I realized I don't think it was as big of trigger for me in terms of, like, bloating and stuff, but when you're in it and you have GI symptoms or whatever, I'm not saying getting rid of that in the beginning, but then you can try to figure out, like, work back in what bothers you, what doesn't bother you. Right now, I'll have, like, a cottage cheese, like, breakfast bowl, so cottage cheese, some fruit, sometimes chia seeds, like, I try to add fiber in there too without I've done, all the things. Some GI, when I didn't know it was POTS, was like, "You need 40 grams of fiber, don't you dare have any
Ah,
less." I like, the amount of fiber I was putting in my poor stomach, I was trying to eat anything with fiber. I was like, I don't think
yeah.
that's the answer either. So I try to do Brit's method where a little bit there's room for everything. Less is more, trying to incorporate everything slowly.
Yeah, and definitely, my experience too was maybe it's gluten, maybe it's
Mhm.
fructose,
Right,
maybe
you
it's
did.
this, and I went dairy free too, and that was the worst probably year of my life. I love
Right.
dairy, um,
And
needlessly, yeah.
right, and I think there's probably some that definitely are like, it bothers you, but for others and I know different things when people walk in and or on the app and they have thyroid issues, and yes, there are or migraines and pulling it out, so we're not
Yes,
saying, "Yes, everybody go eat dairy," or this is not an all or nothing, it's just, again, what works best for you.
yeah, absolutely. And the protein is, like you said, for your breakfast. That's what I do every day. Is I usually have an egg or cottage
Yeah.
cheese. I need that protein.
Mhm.
It has a minimal impact on your blood sugar level. Protein overall, it it helps to slow down the digestion of carbs. So if I pair my egg with an English muffin, it's
Mhm.
going to help slow down that digestion so that my blood sugar stays level for a little
Mhm.
bit longer period of time and prevent those spikes.
Yes.
So incorporating things like lean proteins like our chicken, our fish, your
Yes.
plant-based options, beans, tofu, nuts, all of those can really help give you that sustained energy without the spike that you're going to
Mhm.
have from higher, we'll call it higher sugar, but not meaning sugar, but
Yeah,
higher
right.
sugar
Not
meal.
candy
Yeah.
bar sugar.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. Not.
it's true too because I was saying that I usually start my morning with something, and I'm at the point where I can't have a cup of coffee. So I always make sure I
Hmm.
eat. I'm well hydrated before I bring coffee into the equation. I have a cup of coffee and then I typically come to the office. Mid-morning, I've now started to have, you get overwhelmed. You can get influenced. You can see all this stuff on Instagram. I'm guilty
Hmm.
of it. Should I get this protein? Is this one good? Is that bad? Should I try this? She's influenced. I should have it. So, what I've tried to do is really try to make a shake with just fruit and things that I know. So I got a dairy-free milk just because I think when I'm drinking a whole thing of milk, it's, like, a lot. So a dairy-free option, I put mango, banana, a little bit of Greek yogurt, and that's my shake mid-morning. So then it helps me get to lunchtime, but for me, smaller meals with higher protein seem to be the best, especially from, like, a bloating GI perspective, seems to help.
And it's good too, that concept of eating like a toddler, and that's what my husband
That's
tells me all
right.
the time, is that I eat just like a child would, because I do the same thing that Kelsey was just explaining. I wake up, I hydrate, I'm not a coffee drinker, I drink green tea, and then I have breakfast. But like if I have to go to the office, I'm not leaving this house unless I've had breakfast, because my
I
day, my
oh.
brain, it can't function
I don't know
without
how
it.
people do it. I can't. Growing up,
No.
my brother was not someone who ate breakfast. I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, "What am I having for breakfast?"
Yeah, it's like the first thought in my head is like, okay, what's in the fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could never. I
Yep.
couldn't.
And then I'm like an every 2 hour, give or take, like I'm having something else. I'm having another snack, whether that is a handful of nuts or whether that is, like you mentioned, a smoothie. I've been recently on a smoothie kick too. And I
Yeah.
do the same thing, frozen fruit, or fresh fruit, whatever I have that's in
Right.
season, some almond milk, and sometimes I throw in like a chia or a protein, but not even, it
Right.
just depends on how I'm feeling.
And it is overwhelming. I think, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but when you get into these, I'm someone, probably you're the same for having Crohn's, but when you say I buy a protein, then I'm like, okay, I need to have a protein shake every day. Like
Yeah.
I do the same thing. So I felt like, okay, let me just take that stress out. And there's so many to choose from: whey protein, pea protein. There's so many. It's confusing.
And we could go to a whole tangent on this and I won't go too far, but there's so many ingredients in
Yes,
some of
that's what
these
I'm afraid of.
supplements.
Right.
And to read that, sometimes you need like a medical degree sometimes to
For real.
understand. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about what some of the ingredients mean. A lot of people mistakenly see things as high fructose corn syrup, or they mistakenly think that's a sugar
Mhm.
that shouldn't be in there, because there's just a lot of misinformation out there.
Right. It's honestly whatever's appearing most on your For You pages is, like, where the trends go, or what's new to be trendy to not have. So I think, at least for me lately, I've been trying to go more simple. The simpler, the better.
And that's exactly where I would always ask someone to go back to, is to prioritize whole foods first.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean you have to only eat fresh, organic, all of that's not what I'm
Right.
meaning. I'm meaning like a food, like even if it's a donut, it's a
Real
food.
food.
Yeah, as opposed to supplements and things like that, is to go back to the basics and look at, am I eating fruits and vegetables throughout the day? Is that why I'm not feeling great? Like if you kind of can look back at yourself in retrospect and see like, oh yeah, I don't think I had a green vegetable yesterday. Let me do better today. Like,
Especially in a POTS body, people ask us, "What do you suggest for vitamins?" I don't. I don't say anything off the bat because everybody's so different, and exactly like Britt said, if you haven't had a green vegetable in years, maybe I would start there, because when you add
right.
vitamins, even vitamins have fillers. Even if you get these whole food, it doesn't matter. Vitamins, anything that you're adding extra in your body for POTS, sometimes it doesn't agree. So if you can go back to a food source, I think it's just easier on your body, and it
Mhm.
makes more sense to at least start there. Not that you can't add supplements in the future, not that you might not be deficient in some areas, but if you can use food more, I feel like that's what we tend to suggest.
Yeah, if you start with food and you eat a balanced diet, the vitamins can only help so much. There's this joke that Americans have like the most expensive pee because we just pee out all of our
Oh, I
vitamins.
I
Yeah.
buy
So-
that.
and I'm guilty of it too. I take a
Right.
vitamin in the event that I didn't eat that vegetable that
For
day.
sure. I think
But
there's a time and a place to, or a healthy blend where, okay, these aren't gonna hurt. I mean, I take vitamins, but I think just learning where you can supplement and start with food
yes.
versus just going to taking,
Yeah.
60 vitamins a day.
Yeah, the thought is to not rely on the vitamin, to have it there
Yes.
as a backup in the event that you needed it that day, but
Yeah, that
not as
makes
a
sense.
primary source. Yeah.
Yeah, of food.
Yeah, and then thinking of vegetables, yeah, the more you can get in a day, the better off you're gonna be, especially those non-starchy ones like our leafy greens, broccolis, peppers. They have also a minimal impact on your blood sugar levels. They're high in fiber, again, slowing down that absorption of
Mhm.
the glucose into your bloodstream. They help prevent spikes throughout the day as well, and they make you feel fuller longer. You said about oatmeal. I'm the
Mhm.
same way. I know oatmeal has fiber and I like it, but I'm always starving
I'm
after I eat it.
starving,
Yeah,
starving, starving.
that's
My
like a
husband, he
personal.
can,
Yeah.
yeah, he can eat it, and he had oatmeal this morning, and he'll probably be good for a while. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah. And that's the thing is every single person is different, and that's why it's not a prescribed food
No,
package that we're offering here
no,
because yeah, Kale's gonna love oatmeal and feel great
yeah.
on it. That's not how we're gonna work.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, no. I'll be cranky before I even get out the house. I also think, and this, maybe you can touch on this, people will say to me, okay, I feel so overwhelmed because I'm supposed to have these leafy greens and things like that. But then I was also told, well, I need low FODMAP. But even on
Mm.
low FODMAP, there's still a place for amount of these foods, if that's something they're trialing from a physician or GI standpoint, that they can still incorporate this stuff.
Yeah, and the low FODMAP diet is something that it works well, right? The goal of that is to cut down and figure out what is triggering you. You know, it's cutting out fructose and lactose. It's cutting out these different things, but the intention when that diet was designed was not to be a forever thing.
Yeah, right.
It
I
was to
think
be
that is what's
temporary.
people
Mhm.
don't I didn't know that. When I woke up from a, endoscopy a couple years ago, well, this was right after I had Carson, so 2017. I woke up, he's like, "Everything's fine." I had endoscopy, colonoscopy, he's like, "Everything's fine. Don't eat," he didn't say low FODMAP, he's like, "Don't eat red sauce, don't eat garlic, don't eat tomatoes, don't eat," and he, like, rambled off this I mean, I'm still, like,
List,
foggy.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" And then I looked it up, but he didn't say, like, get those out for a little bit and then incorporate them back in. He just was like, don't eat it." And then that was the end of it.
Yeah. And that's the hard part is that there's so much information out there.
Mhm.
What do you believe? Who do you
Right.
trust? And no discredit to GIs. I love my GI,
Yeah.
but they also went to school for a specific thing, right? They don't go to school for nutrition.
Right,
They
right,
don't
right.
have all this
Like, big
extensive.
picture.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
they know what they know and that's great and it's helpful, but then you have to lean to the experts, like looking to the registered dietitian community for more support and more encouragement along the way because that is what their wheelhouse is. That's what
Yeah.
they're
Don't eat
focused on.
garlic. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Who doesn't want I mean, I love garlic, yeah.
I needed to calm everything down, so
Yeah,
it made sense for a while, but I still add garlic back in. You get to a point where you can add it back in, but if I didn't talk to you about it, I wouldn't have known. I probably just would've that's me with, like, especially with celiac, like, it's all or not. I can't have
right.
anything, so if they're like, "Don't have garlic," I'm like, "Add it to the list," I didn't know.
And it's the same if you get sick, right? There's the
Right.
Bratz diet that they
Yes.
recommend if you're not feeling well to get food back introduced, and that's why it is the way it is. It's boring, bland food that's
Mhm.
supposed to get nutrients back into you without causing any triggers. If you are experiencing GI disturbances or other things that you think could be related to food, that's the way to go about it is to, eliminate things that could be triggers and slowly reintroduce
Mhm.
them. And like I said, again, a registered dietitian is the perfect person to help you to do that safely without saying, "Let me cut out all of these nutrients and see what happens," because
Forever.
that's not what we want you to do.
No, yeah, and then I feel like it develops, and Britt sees this a lot, unhealthy relationships with food.
Yep, and it's so true, and I this is crazy, I just thought about this the other day. There used to be a show on TV that was, like, judging people's body, like, the best body, and I just thought, "What's wrong with us?" Is it
You know?
everybody's different, everyone is different, different things work for different people, and to try to
Seriously.
compare yourself and social media is pretty bad for this is,
It
you know
drives it.
yeah, and so at the end of the day, you're never gonna look like somebody else unless you have an identical twin, and
Right.
even then, there'll be some
It'll
small
probably be different.
differences. Yeah, and so you have to do what's best for your body and fuel your body in the ways that your body wants to be fueled and move your body in the ways that you want it to be moved.
Because I think in a pot's body, and this is just my theory, I don't know, but my theory is that your body isn't already in such a state of chaos, right? You're trying to get blood flow, you're trying to get enough hydration, but salt. And then, some people they tend to be more hyperadrenergic, that higher
Mhm.
blood pressure, obviously high heart rate with it. But then they'll say, well, I just need to lose weight. And they're just beside themselves, right? But I don't think you can even look at that
Yeah.
until your body starts to settle from a chaos pot standpoint. And then as you get healthier and incorporate these changes, just being like, I'm gonna cut calories, like that is not gonna help this POTS journey. It's just, I think, gonna add more problems.
Yeah, the more you have stuff going on, and another like parallel to this is after you have a child. Like there's a pressure to get back to
Yep.
pre-pregnancy weight, pre-pregnancy body. You just delivered a human being.
Right.
Like there was a lot of trauma. Your organs literally were moved around, displaced, your nutrients were different. Like give your body the time and the grace
Right.
to appreciate what it just did, you
And
know?
give it time to heal
Yep.
and get things back to normal and find what normal even is, a new
Right.
normal. It goes with anything. Just finding where your body needs to be, getting yourself to a neutral place, and then working from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to talk about fruits for a little bit because fruits get
Yum.
a bad rap because people
Right.
think that they
Sugar.
are full of sugar and
Right.
they shouldn't have fruits. And well, yes, they are higher in natural sugar called
Right.
fructose. When I used to teach kids about nutrition in schools, we talked about fruit being nature's candy because it is naturally sweetened. It is not added sugar. And that's the sugar you want to be mindful of is all the added sugar that you're getting in your day, not the fructose. It has a very moderate impact on your blood sugar levels compared to that added sugar that you might scoop and put on a strawberry
Mhm.
or you might put
Mhm.
on your oatmeal. That's a totally different thing that we're talking about.
I think it's good to know too, and just to have all these tips because you're already trying to be like, okay, did I have hydration? Did I exercise? Did I do this? Did I do all this right? So if you can be mindful, like, okay, I can still have food. It's good to
Yeah.
have vegetables. It's good to have fruit. It's good to have some meat. If you want to have the donut, you can have the donut. So taking pressure off yourself to not have to control everything. We're not saying Brit's not telling you to go have a dozen donuts, but she's saying you can still have the donut.
Yeah. And the more that you learn these little tips and you build them into your day, they become habits. You don't even think about the fact that you're now eating more vegetables. I just gave a tip the other day to someone, like, when I listened to their 24-hour diet recall, I was like, I didn't hear any vegetables in there.
There's
So, like,
nothing.
let's talk about, is that typical? Is that just like a random day? Like, you eat eggs in the morning. Can we throw a pepper or an onion in there? Like,
Right.
there's little simple ways. If you're making a smoothie, throw that spinach in. If
Right.
you put a banana in it, you taste no spinach at all. So,
None.
there's simple ways that you can learn to add nutrition into the meals that you eat. I love to put vegetables in my meatloaf when I
Yeah.
make it. And it's like, my husband doesn't, he's actually a fan of that meatloaf,
He
but it
doesn't
has,
know.
he doesn't know. And so it's a way to add that nutrition, especially if you're listening, you have young, picky eaters. This is a good way to start that
Yes.
process early on is getting the introduction of those foods. That way you develop a taste for it and it becomes second nature.
Yeah, and then it's not a thing. My
Yeah.
husband, I tricked him the other day. I made a stir fry, but I used mostly riced cauliflower and then a little bit of
Oh.
rice. He didn't know, but he was like mid bite of the dinner and I was like, "Oh, do you like it?" And then I was like, it's cauliflower, right?" And his face was like, "What? Why did you tell me?" I'm like, "You didn't even know. It's good, right? It was so good." But finding ways to hide that in. I'm not someone who would just like go pick up cauliflower. But the
Sure.
rice cauliflower you didn't even know. So adding those in, or if you have to trick yourself even more. I mean, my kids, I there's like black bean cupcakes, and I have
Oh,
two
yeah.
boys. They call them poopy cupcakes because I don't. That's just two boys. That's what it is. But adding those are like a little treat, but they're healthy. They're made from
Yeah.
black beans. There's not much in them, or zucchini bakes well into things. So if you have to incorporate things like that, it can be so beneficial.
Yeah, and it it makes it a little easier for your body to have sustained energy throughout the day and not worry about those peaks of your blood sugar
Mhm.
that could then go back, like we started off this podcast or this episode was exacerbating your symptoms that
Mhm.
you're
We're
having.
just
So,
trying to add more control to an already chaotic environment, and controlling your nutrition and making the right choices is a way to do that.
yep. And the nice thing is if you join the Pots Life program is you can find some of these balanced meals
Yes.
on the program. We've assembled some nutrition tips and recipes that you have access to that can provide inspiration. I know that I've currently been in a I feel like I've been in a drought with, like,
Mm,
inspiring myself with
I
new
know.
food,
I get
and
on a
so
kick and then
yeah.
like, bleh.
And so it's a way that if you're in that drought with us, you're just looking for something else, like, there's information out there to help you.
We have, like, snack tips built in there
Yes.
and breakfast ideas, lunch ideas, dinner, and they're nothing that is too long, right? Because we know
No.
you don't have a ton of energy. Standing in the kitchen to make a 4-hour meal is not what we're going for. They're short, quick, helpful things, and you can also, if you're like, "Okay, I'm good on recipes, but I'm just not sure if what I'm eating is good," you
Mhm.
have that ability to communicate and work with Brit, which is already included in the app. So you can send pictures of food, you can log it and she can comment. You can work via the chat feature and come up with more things that are more customized to you and really come up with a plan and check-ins and healthy eating and healthy habits. So it gives you variations depending on how much you're looking to gain from a nutrition standpoint.
Yeah, and I went into nutrition because I like food, and
Right.
that's a thing that I keep in my practice today is I
Mm.
love food. I appreciate food, except for olives. It's my one I can't get behind. But other than
Oh,
that,
I love a good olive.
I keep trying and maybe one day, but they're on my no list. I just love food and I'm not a chef. I've never pretended to be a chef. My husband is probably the better cook between the two of us. But I just like to get in the kitchen and experiment with different things and make meals that make me feel good after I eat them.
And I think that is a perfect representation of how Brit works with people on the app. We don't want you to feel like you're gonna come here and we're gonna eliminate everything out of your diet or give you a certain amount of calories or how dare you even touch this food or you must have, so much of this. It's not. She's really about keeping it open, keeping whatever foods in mind, making small adjustments so there's nothing that rocks your world. She really wants to work with you and keep a good relationship with food instead of taking
Yes.
everything out and hating food.
Yeah, we want everyone to love food and
Yes.
let it just nourish them along their journey with pots. So
Yes. So if you would like to work with Britt and of course me, you can find us at thepotslife.com where you can sign up to be a part of the app. And as soon as you download it, it comes to your phone. There's a chat feature. It comes right to Britt and I. So feel free to send questions and you'll find so much more in there in terms of exercise, POTS resources, and nutrition.
yeah, we love to see the pictures of your food. It
Yeah.
makes us happy. Well,
She
makes me
loves it.
happy. Yeah.
She loves it.
So thanks for joining us today, where we dove a little bit deeper into making balanced diets. Reach out with questions or comments for other topics like to hear in the future. Hit that subscribe button. Share this
Yes.
podcast with someone you love, and we'd love to have you back next time.
See you then.